Let's dive right into this explainer. Imagine you're walking across a busy factory floor. It's loud, it's fast, and guess what? Things are not always going perfectly. Maybe some heavy sheet metal gets bent the wrong way, or maybe someone spills a whole vat of glue while assembling running shoes. Look, waste is just an inevitable part of making stuff. But, as management accountants, we can't just sweep all that under the rug and forget about it. We actually have to account for it. So today, we're going to explore exactly how we do that.
So what actually happens to the costs when production goes sideways? It's a great question, right? Because production is literally never flawless. But here's the kicker. The accounting treatment for all that resulting waste is exactly where exam writers love to set traps for you. If you don't know exactly where the cost of that bent metal or spilled glue is supposed to end up on the financial statements, well, you're going to find yourself selecting the wrong multiple choice answer pretty quickly.
To make sure you absolutely master these rules, here's our roadmap for today. 1. Manufacturing waste explained. 2. Normal spoilage. 3. Abnormal spoilage. 4. Handling leftover scrap. And 5. We'll hit those common exam traps. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Manufacturing waste explained. The reality of the factory floor.
Section 2. Normal spoilage. The expected waste.
All right, let's start with what we might call the expected cost of doing business. Formally, normal spoilage is defined as spoilage that occurs under normal, efficient operating conditions. It's predicted. It's essentially uncontrollable in the short run. Think of it like this. Say you're cutting circles out of a large, square piece of fabric. No matter how perfectly you lay out your cuts, you're always going to have some fabric left over, right? Or occasionally, a sewing machine just slightly frays an edge. Because this kind of spoilage is totally predicted and unavoidable even when your factory is running like a well-oiled machine, it is treated as just a natural part of making the product.
So here's the absolute crucial takeaway. Normal spoilage is treated as a product cost. Because it's an expected cost of creating your final good units, the cost of that normal waste literally gets attached to the good units you successfully produce. It just sits right there in your finished goods inventory on the balance sheet until the item is actually sold. You're basically saying, hey, to get these 100 perfect units, we totally expect to ruin 2 units. Therefore, the cost of those 2 ruined units is just part of the cost of producing the 100 perfect ones. Makes sense, right?
Okay, moving on to Section 3. Abnormal spoilage. The bad surprise.
Now this is the bad surprise of our factory floor. Abnormal spoilage is exactly what it sounds like, honestly. It's spoilage over and above the amount expected in the ordinary course of production. This represents a breakdown, a complete failure in normal operations. Let's go back to that shoe factory we talked about earlier. If a machine violently malfunctions and shreds an entire massive batch of leather, or, say, an untrained worker just drops a whole pallet of finished goods off a forklift, that is definitely not a normal part of the process. That's completely unexpected and, frankly, highly inefficient. When we put these two side by side, a massive difference emerges. Because abnormal spoilage really shouldn't happen, you absolutely cannot hide it in your inventory. Think about it from a manager's perspective for a second. If you take the cost of a catastrophic machine failure and just bury it into the cost of your good inventory, well, suddenly your inventory looks way more valuable than it actually is, and you've basically masked a major operational failure. You can't do that. Instead, it must be exposed immediately on the income statement as a period cost, specifically recognized as a loss from abnormal spoilage. This comparison perfectly illustrates the contrast you literally just have to memorize. Normal equals expected. That makes it a product cost that gets absorbed into the cost of good units. Abnormal equals not expected. That makes it a period cost that hits the income statement immediately as a loss. Honestly, this distinction right here is the absolute bedrock of any cost accounting question you're going to see on spoilage. Next up, Section 4. Handling leftover scrap.
All right, so let's deal with the literal leftovers. What exactly is scrap, speaking from an accounting perspective? Well, scrap simply consists of materials left over from making a product. But here is the vital differentiator you need to catch. No cost is recognized for scrap, and it is never classified as normal or abnormal. Unlike spoilage, which involves actual units that had direct materials, labor, and overhead poured into them before they failed, scrap has zero recognized cost. It's literally just the sawdust on the floor or tiny metal shavings from a lathe. It's just leftover material that you either sweep up and throw away, or, hey, maybe potentially sell.
Now, if you actually manage to sell this scrap to someone else, maybe a guy who really needs metal shavings or sawdust, pay very close attention to the fork in the road for how we handle that cash. The rules dictate that if you're using process costing, or if the scrap is just common to all jobs in the factory, the proceeds you get from selling it will reduce your overall manufacturing overhead.
On the flip side, if you're using job costing and the scrap can be specifically traced back to one particular custom job, then those proceeds directly reduce the work in process account for that specific job. It's a slightly subtle difference, but trust me, it is highly testable.
Finally, Section 5. Common exam traps, hacking the test.
Let's synthesize all these rules and tackle the exact traps examiners are going to use to trip you up. The first trap, it's a classic. Do not mix up spoilage with scrap. It's super easy to look at a factory floor and just call everything waste. But remember, they are fundamentally different in the accounting system. Scrap is just leftover raw material fragments with no recognized cost attached to them. Spoilage, on the other hand, involves actual, partially, or fully completed units that failed to meet quality standards. Spoilage has absorbed real costs, materials, labor, overhead, and therefore it demands a formal cost classification as either normal or abnormal.
And here's our second major exam trap. Abnormal spoilage is never part of normal, efficient operations. Examiners love to trick you by offering a scenario where a massive error occurs, and then one of the multiple choice options will try to casually sneak that cost into the ending inventory or cost of goods sold. Don't fall for it. Never let abnormal spoilage get absorbed into the cost of good output. It is strictly a period loss reflecting inefficiency. The moment you see words like unexpected or uncontrollable disaster in a question, your brain should immediately scream, period loss.
So the big question is, are you ready to spot the difference on your exam? By keeping the expected, the bad surprise, and the leftovers clearly separated in your mind, you've got the exact framework you need. Normal spoilage is the expected product cost hiding in your good inventory. Abnormal spoilage is the bad surprise glaring right at you on the income statement as a period loss. And scrap? That's just the zero-cost leftovers that might reduce your overhead if you're lucky enough to sell them. Master these categories, and you're going to absolutely breeze through these cost accounting questions. But before we wrap up this explainer, I want you to ask yourself this. If a freak power outage ruins an entire batch of expensive products on your floor, do you bury that cost in your inventory to make your numbers look good, or do you take the hit and expose it as a loss? Don't let the exam writers expose you. Think about it, and we'll see you next time.